In the grim darkness of the 32nd millennium, humanity faced its most devastating threat since the Horus Heresy. The War of the Beast wasn't merely another orc invasion. It was an existential crisis that brought the Imperium to its knees and forever changed the face of the galaxy. This conflict would prove that the Greenskins were capable of far more than mindless violence, demonstrating tactical brilliance and technological advancement that shocked even the most seasoned Imperial commanders. The year 544.M32 marked the beginning of what Imperial scholars would later call the Beheading. As the Imperium basked in a false sense of security, believing the orc threat permanently crushed during the Great Crusade, an unprecedented "Wah!" erupted across the galaxy. Led by a mysterious figure known only as the Beast, this wasn't the primitive horde of feral orcs that humanity had grown accustomed to fighting. These were evolved orcs, capable of speaking perfect Gothic, employing sophisticated technology, and executing complex military strategies that would have impressed even the Primarchs themselves. What made this invasion particularly terrifying was its scale and organization. The Beast's forces didn't just raid and pillage, they established massive gravity-defying fortresses called attack moons in orbit around conquered worlds. These massive structures served as both military installations and mobile planetary engines, capable of destroying entire worlds through gravitational manipulation. The sophistication of these constructs challenged everything the Imperium thought it knew about orcoid capabilities. The Imperial response to this threat was hampered by centuries of complacency and bureaucratic bloat. The High Lords of Terra, more concerned with their political machinations than the defense of the Imperium, initially dismissed reports of the orc advance as mere exaggerations. This hubris would cost humanity dearly, as entire sectors fell silent before the true scale of the threat was acknowledged. Even mighty Terra itself would not be spared from the shadow of the Beast's attack moons. This war would see the resurrection of ancient heroes, the fall of proud institutions, and the implementation of desperate measures that would have been unthinkable in more stable times. The conflict would test not only the military might of the Imperium, but also its very foundations as a governing body. The desperate measures taken to combat the Beast would have far-reaching consequences, some of which would not become apparent for millennia to come. The War of the Beast stands as a testament to both the resilience of humanity and its capacity for self-destruction. It was a time when the lines between necessity and heresy blurred, when ancient oaths were broken and reforged, and when the very future of mankind hung by a thread. This was not just another chapter in the endless book of Imperial conflicts. It was a watershed moment that would reshape the Imperium's military doctrine, political structure, and understanding of its enemies for thousands of years to come. As we delve into this dark chapter of Imperial history, remember that the true horror lies not just in the unprecedented might of the Orc Empire, but in the realization that humanity's greatest enemy might not be the Xenos at their gates, but the corruption and complacency that festered within their own ranks. The War of the Beast would prove that even in humanity's darkest hour, heroes could rise from the most unexpected places, and that sometimes the greatest victories come at the cost of bitter sacrifices. At the apex of this unprecedented orc civilization stood the Beast himself, a being of such terrifying intellect and might that many Imperial scholars initially refused to believe the reports of his existence. Standing several times larger than even the mightiest orc war bosses, this entity possessed tactical acumen that rivaled the greatest Imperial commanders. Unlike the brutal simplicity of typical orc leadership, the Beast orchestrated a complex empire with distinct castes and sophisticated hierarchy. His inner circle comprised 6 prime orcs, each commanding their own attack moon and specialized forces. These beings represented different aspects of orcish warfare, from void combat specialists to siege masters. This council structure marked a revolutionary development in orc society, displaying levels of cooperation previously thought impossible among their species. Beneath them served the Beast-class war bosses, each larger and more intelligent than traditional greenskin leaders. These commanders utilized advanced technology and sophisticated battle tactics, coordinating massive forces with unprecedented precision. Their forces included specialized units like the Beast Snaga hunting packs and mega gargants that dwarfed Imperial titans. The High Lords of Terra, in their marble halls, represented a study in dysfunction when the crisis began. Lord Commander of the Imperium Lansung exemplified the worst of Imperial bureaucracy, a man more concerned with maintaining his position than defending humanity. His leadership style, focused on political maneuvering rather than effective governance, nearly doomed the Imperium in the war's early stages. Draken Vangerich, Grand Master of Assassins, emerged as a crucial yet controversial figure. His understanding of the threat's magnitude and willingness to take extreme measures would prove both salvation and curse for the Imperium. Operating from the shadows, his actions would eventually reshape Imperial leadership entirely. The Space Marines' response was led by Chapter Master Courland of the Imperial Fists, the last surviving member of his chapter after the Beast's assault on Terra. Known as the Last Son of Dorn, his leadership united the Adeptus Astartes in unprecedented ways, breaking traditional chapter boundaries to face the overwhelming threat. Fabricator General Kubik represented Mars's interests, bringing forth the Mechanicum's vast technological resources. His initial reluctance to share advanced weaponry with other Imperial forces highlighted the deep-seated divisions within the Imperium's power structure. The tech priests under his command would later prove crucial in understanding and countering the Beast's advanced technology. The Inquisition, represented by Veritas and Wynand, demonstrated the organization's internal conflicts between Puritan and radical philosophies. Their debates over using forbidden weapons and knowledge against the Orc threat would set precedents for future crisis response. Sister Karina of the Sisters of Silence brought the crucial Null Maiden forces into the conflict. Their unique abilities proved unexpectedly effective against certain aspects of Orc technology, revealing new insights into the psychic nature of Orcoid biology. Captain Maximus Thane of the Fists Exemplar represented the new generation of Space Marine leadership, adapting traditional doctrines to face unprecedented challenges. His innovative approaches to combining different chapter tactics would influence Astartes' strategy for millennia. The Eldar's sporadic involvement, though limited, provided crucial intelligence about the Beast's true nature. Their cryptic warnings and occasional direct interventions suggested they understood aspects of the conflict hidden from Imperial knowledge. Iron Warrior's warband remnants, still bitter from the heresy, found themselves fighting alongside Imperial forces in several instances, demonstrating how the Beast's threat transcended even the deepest divisions in human society. These diverse factions and individuals, each with their own agendas and methods, would be forced to cooperate in ways never seen before or since. Their interactions, conflicts, and occasional alliances would prove as crucial to the war's outcome as any single battle or campaign. The seeds of humanity's greatest trial since the Horus Heresy were sown in the aftermath of the Great Crusade itself. During those galaxy-spanning campaigns, the Emperor's forces had encountered and crushed countless Orc empires, believing they had forever broken the Greenskins' ability to pose a serious threat. This assumption proved catastrophically wrong, as the scattered survivors began a remarkable evolutionary journey. In the centuries following the Crusade, while the Imperium turned inward to heal from the wounds of the heresy, the remaining Orc populations underwent an unprecedented transformation. Rather than devolving into feral states as expected, these groups developed in isolation, achieving technological and social advancement that defied all Imperial understanding of Orcoid evolution. This process occurred largely undetected, masked by the vast distances of space and the Imperium's preoccupation with internal struggles. The Imperium's own success proved to be its undoing. The systematic elimination of smaller Orc threats had inadvertently created a selection pressure that favored more sophisticated and organized Orc societies. Those that survived the Great Crusade were not the weakest, but the most adaptable and cunning of their species. These survivors passed on their enhanced traits through their spores, creating new generations of increasingly advanced orcs. Political decay within the Imperium created perfect conditions for catastrophe. The High Lords of Terra, ensconced in their privileges, had grown disconnected from the realities of frontier warfare. Military readiness deteriorated as resources were diverted to personal projects and political power plays. The Imperial Navy's patrol routes became predictable, dictated more by bureaucratic convenience than strategic necessity. The Mechanicum's obsession with hoarding technology rather than sharing it with Imperial forces created dangerous gaps in defensive capabilities. Their refusal to distribute advanced scanning equipment meant many worlds lacked early warning systems that might have detected the approaching threat. This technological disparity would prove especially costly when facing the beast's forces, whose advancement had gone unnoticed partly due to inadequate surveillance. Several frontier worlds reported unusual orc activity in the years preceding the war, but these warnings were systematically dismissed or buried in bureaucratic procedures. The Administratum's complex reporting structure meant that crucial intelligence often took years to reach decision-makers, by which time it was hopelessly outdated. This systemic failure allowed the orcs to establish their power bases without significant opposition. The Space Marine chapters, traditionally humanity's bulwark against alien threats, had become increasingly isolated and focused on their individual duties. The lessons of unity learned during the heresy had faded, replaced by fierce independence that would initially hamper an effective response to the beast's emergence. Chapter rivalries and conflicting doctrines prevented the formation of a unified strategy until it was almost too late. Ancient Eldar prophecies had warned of a green tide that would drown the stars, but these warnings, like many Xenos communications, were either ignored or treated with suspicious hostility by Imperial authorities. The Eldar themselves, recognizing the looming catastrophe, began subtle manipulations to prepare for the coming storm, but their efforts were often counterproductive, breeding further distrust among Imperial leaders. A crucial factor was the deterioration of the Astronomican's effectiveness in certain sectors, attributed to increasing warp turbulence. This phenomenon, later discovered to be partially caused by the psychic emanations of the beast's empire, created blind spots in Imperial navigation. These areas became perfect staging grounds for the orc forces to mass without detection. The Inquisition, which might have investigated these gathering threats, was distracted by internal philosophical disputes and witch hunts. Their obsession with internal purity left them blind to the external danger growing beyond Imperial borders. Several Inquisitors who did raise alarms about unusual orc activities were dismissed as alarmists or relegated to distant assignments. Perhaps most significantly, the Imperium had fundamentally misunderstood orc psychology and potential. The assumption that orcs were incapable of sophisticated organization or technological innovation proved to be a devastating misconception. This intellectual failing meant that even when evidence of advanced orc activity emerged, it was often misclassified or dismissed as impossible. Military resources had been systematically redistributed to deal with what were considered more pressing threats: heretic uprisings, chaos incursions, and political insurrections. This left many sectors underdefended, relying on outdated defense plans that assumed orcs would attack in predictable, disorganized waves rather than the sophisticated assault patterns they had developed. The first signs of impending catastrophe manifested in 544.m32 when multiple frontier worlds abruptly ceased communications. Initial investigations discovered these planets stripped bare, transformed into mechanized death worlds serving as bases for the beast's empire. Unlike typical orc invasions, these worlds bore signs of methodical resource extraction and industrial conversion. Sector command posts began reporting encounters with unprecedented orc vessels, massive spacecraft demonstrating void warfare capabilities surpassing many Imperial ships. These vessels employed sophisticated shield technology and weapons that could pierce the strongest Imperial defenses. The Imperium's response remained fragmented, with each sector attempting to address what they believed to be isolated incidents. The true scale of the threat became apparent when an attack moon materialized in the Ardamua system. This massive artificial planetoid, combining orcish brutality with technological sophistication, devastated the system's defenses. The Imperial Fists chapter, responding to this threat, suffered catastrophic losses. Chapter Master Courland emerged as the sole survivor, marking a dark turning point in the conflict. Following the Ardamua incident, multiple attack moons appeared simultaneously across Imperial space. These massive structures served as both mobile fortresses and invasion platforms, capable of destroying worlds through gravitational manipulation. The coordinated nature of these appearances suggested a level of strategic planning previously thought impossible for orcs. Port Sanctus, a crucial naval base, fell next. The beast's forces demonstrated their ability to neutralize void shields through unknown means, rendering many Imperial defensive installations vulnerable. The fall of this strategic location cut off vital supply lines and communication routes across multiple sectors. The war reached a terrifying new phase when an attack moon appeared in Terra's orbit. The beast's forces broadcasted demands in perfect Gothic, shocking Imperial leaders with their sophistication. The subsequent battle for Terra saw the devastating loss of numerous Imperial Fists' successors and the near destruction of the palace's outer defenses. Desperate for solutions, Lord Commander Lansung initiated the Last Wall Protocol, a contingency created by Rogel Dorn, uniting all Imperial Fists' successor chapters. This unprecedented gathering of Astartes' forces marked the first major unified response to the beast's threat. However, their initial assault on an attack moon ended in failure, demonstrating the inadequacy of traditional military approaches. The Mechanicum's analysis of captured Orc technology revealed disturbing advances in their engineering capabilities. The beast's forces had developed teleportation technology, surpassing Imperial standards, and gravity weapons that could tear planets apart. This technological leap forced a re-evaluation of all existing combat doctrines. Inquisitor Veritas uncovered crucial intelligence suggesting Ulanor, the site of the Emperor's greatest triumph against the Orcs, had become the beast's capital world. This discovery led to Operation Exterminatus Extremis, an ambitious plan to strike at the heart of the Orc Empire. The mission revealed Ulanor had been moved from its original location, demonstrating the beast's mastery over astronomical engineering. A series of assassination attempts on the beast, orchestrated by the Officio Assassinorum, failed spectacularly, but provided valuable intelligence about the Orc leader's nature. Each prime Orc encountered proved to be a possible beast, suggesting a complex leadership structure unlike anything seen in Orc society before. The tide began to turn when the Imperium launched a desperate mission to resurrect Vulcan, the Primarch of the Salamanders. His return brought new hope and tactical insight, though his subsequent sacrifice in destroying an attack moon highlighted the immense cost of victory. His actions revealed crucial weaknesses in the Orcs' technology. Iron Warriors' involvement marked another surprising development. These ancient traders, recognizing the existential threat, provided crucial intelligence about Orc weaknesses observed during the Great Crusade. Their experience proved invaluable in understanding the beast's fortification strategies. The conflict reached its climax with a massive Imperial assault on Ulanor, now equipped with knowledge gained from previous encounters. The operation involved unprecedented coordination between Space Marines, Imperial Guard, Mechanicum forces, and even elements of the Inquisition. The battle resulted in the beast's death, though debates about which Prime Orc was the true beast continue to this day. In the aftermath, Grandmaster Vangerich enacted the Beheading, assassinating all but one of the High Lords of Terra. This political purge, while controversial, reformed the Imperium's leadership structure. The subsequent period of martial law under Von Gorich's direction focused on implementing lessons learned during the war. Recovery efforts revealed the true extent of devastation. Countless worlds lost, entire chapters decimated, and technological secrets both gained and lost. The Imperium initiated massive reconstruction projects, including the establishment of new fortress monasteries and defensive systems, incorporating knowledge gained about Orc capabilities. Final operations involved hunting down remnants of the beast's empire, ensuring no fragment could rise to similar power. These campaigns discovered and destroyed numerous advanced Orc installations, though some technical marvels observed during the war were never seen again, suggesting aspects of the beast's technology died with him. The last recorded action of the war involved the systematic examination of all worlds near Alinor's original and final locations, searching for any remaining traces of the beast's technological achievements. This operation, continuing for decades after the main conflict, demonstrated the Imperium's determination to prevent any possible resurgence of such an advanced Orc empire. The ultimate turning point in the War of the Beast emerged through a sequence of interconnected events centered around the second invasion of Ulanor. This pivotal campaign succeeded where others failed due to three crucial discoveries that fundamentally changed the Imperium's understanding of their enemy. The first breakthrough came from an unlikely source: ancient data stacks discovered in Mars's deepest vaults. These records, dating back to the Great Crusade, contain detailed analyses of Ulinor's original planetary configuration. Tech priests deciphering this information realized that the beast's current stronghold exhibited identical geological patterns to the original Ulinor, despite occupying a different location in space. This revelation proved that the Orcs hadn't simply built a similar fortress, they had somehow moved an entire planet. Magos explorator Hieronymus Tesla made the second critical discovery while studying captured Orc technology. The power sources driving the attack moons shared a unique resonance frequency with the beast's primary fortress. This resonance created a psychic amplification network, exponentially increasing the Orc's natural psychic field. By disrupting this network, Imperial forces could potentially weaken the sophisticated technology that made the beast's empire so formidable. The final piece fell into place through the sacrifice of an Assassinorum execution force. Though their attempt to eliminate the beast failed, their neural data captures revealed something extraordinary. Each beast they encountered displayed identical thought patterns. This suggested they weren't dealing with copies or subordinates, but rather different aspects of the same entity, somehow distributed across multiple bodies. Armed with these insights, the Imperium devised Operation Deadhead, a multi-pronged assault leveraging all three discoveries. The plan called for simultaneous strikes against key resonance points in the beast's network, followed by a massive push toward the central node on Ulinor. This approach differed radically from previous failed attempts that had treated the campaign as a conventional military operation. The execution of Operation Deadhead marked the war's true turning point. Mechanicum forces deployed specialized resonance disruption devices at crucial locations, weakening the psychic network that enhanced Orc technology. As their advanced weapons began failing, the Orcs reverted to more primitive and manageable forms of warfare. This regression revealed the artificial nature of their evolution, proving their advancement wasn't permanent. Vulcan's role in this operation proved decisive. The Primarch recognized that the distributed nature of the beast's consciousness represented both strength and vulnerability. By attacking multiple Prime Orcs simultaneously, Imperial forces could prevent the beast from fully concentrating its power in any single location. This insight transformed what had been a desperate last stand into a calculated strategy for victory. The operation's success manifested in stages. First, the attack moons began losing their gravity manipulation capabilities as the psychic network degraded. Then, the sophisticated weapons employed by the beast's forces started malfunctioning. Finally, communication between Orc forces devolved from perfect Gothic back to crude dialect, indicating the collapse of their advanced cognitive enhancements. This series of cascading failures created a psychological shock among the Orc forces. For the first time in the conflict, the Greenskins experienced doubt. Their technological supremacy, which had defined their new empire, crumbled before them. This psychological turning point proved as significant as the strategic victories, shattering the aura of invincibility that had surrounded the beast's forces. The culmination came when Imperial forces breached Ullinor's primary fortress. Inside, they discovered the true nature of the beast's power, a massive psychic engine drawing energy from every orc in the Empire. The destruction of this device not only ended the beast's reign, but also sent a psychic backlash through all advanced orc forces, effectively lobotomizing their enhanced capabilities. This turning point reshaped Imperial military doctrine forever. The discovery that seemingly invincible enemies could be defeated through understanding and targeting their underlying systems rather than through brute force alone influenced strategic thinking for millennia to come. The operation demonstrated that victory against overwhelming odds was possible through the combination of knowledge, coordination, and precisely applied force. The War of the Beast fundamentally reshaped the Imperium's military, political, and technological landscape. In the immediate aftermath, thousands of worlds lay in ruins, their populations decimated or transformed into mechanized death worlds by the orcs' industrial machinery. The loss of vital industrial centers and agricultural worlds triggered widespread famine and resource shortages across multiple sectors. The Space Marine chapters faced an unprecedented crisis. The near extinction of the Imperial fists and severe losses among other chapters forced a complete reorganization of Astartes' deployment strategies. The Last Wall protocol, though successful, exposed vulnerabilities in the chapter system. This led to the establishment of new rapid response protocols and interchapter coordination mechanisms previously deemed unnecessary. Imperial politics underwent a violent transformation through the beheading. Grandmaster Vangoric's assassination of the High Lords marked the end of centuries of bureaucratic stagnation. His subsequent reforms streamlined military response protocols, established new intelligence-sharing mandates, and created specialized rapid reaction forces. Though Vangoric's reign ended in violence, his reforms endured, fundamentally altering how the Imperium responded to large-scale threats. The Mechanicum's encounter with advanced orc technology shattered many preconceptions. Analysis of salvaged orc devices revealed principles that challenged established techno-theological doctrines. This sparked internal debates about the nature of machine spirits and the boundaries of acceptable innovation. Some Forge worlds began secretly incorporating discovered orcoid engineering principles into their designs, leading to subtle but significant advances in Imperial technology. Naval doctrine underwent complete revision. The effectiveness of the attack moons against traditional void warfare tactics forced the development of new fleet configurations and combat protocols. The Imperium implemented sophisticated early warning systems and established hidden monitoring stations throughout suspected orc territory, creating a vast intelligence network dedicated to preventing another such empire from rising unnoticed. The Inquisition expanded its mandate to include monitoring Xenos technological development. New ordos formed specifically to track and analyze signs of sophisticated orc activity. These organizations developed complex theoretical frameworks for understanding Xenos evolution, leading to more nuanced approaches in combating alien threats. Planetary defense underwent systematic overhaul. The beast's ability to transform worlds into fortress planets led to the implementation of new planetary monitoring systems. The Imperium established specialized rapid response fleets near crucial worlds, supported by networks of astropathic relay stations to ensure faster communication during emergencies. Psychological scars ran deep across Imperial society. The sight of orcs speaking perfect Gothic and employing sophisticated technology shattered centuries of assumptions about Xenos limitations. This led to increased xenophobia and paranoia, but also to more serious study of potential Xenos threats. Scholar warriors began documenting and analyzing alien civilizations with unprecedented thoroughness. The discovery of the beast's psychic network forced reconsideration of orc psychology. The Imperium developed new theories about Orkoid social structures and technological potential. This understanding led to more effective containment strategies, though some warned that these insights might help prevent another beast from rising while making normal orc populations harder to combat. Agricultural and industrial recovery consumed massive resources. The Imperium implemented new protocols for rehabilitating worlds affected by orc occupation, developing specialized techniques for cleansing planets of orc spores and reversing industrial contamination. These procedures became standard for reclaiming worlds from Xenos occupation. Military recruitment and training underwent significant changes. The Imperial Guard incorporated lessons from fighting advanced orcs into its basic training, developing new anti-armor tactics and recognition protocols for identifying sophisticated Xenos technology. Special emphasis was placed on maintaining morale when facing technologically superior enemies. The Officio Assassinorum expanded its capabilities for targeting Xenos leadership. New assassination protocols and specialized equipment were developed based on experiences fighting the Beast and his prime orcs. The organization established dedicated research facilities for studying Xenos biology and psychology to improve future operation effectiveness. These sweeping changes reshaped Imperial society for millennia to come. The War of the Beast served as a harsh reminder that no enemy, no matter how well understood, could be taken for granted. This lesson, written in the blood of billions, became deeply embedded in Imperial military doctrine and cultural memory. The Beast's technological arsenal revolutionized warfare through the deployment of attack moons, artificial planetoids combining gravitational manipulation with devastating firepower. These structures utilized quantum gravitic engines to maintain stable orbits while generating localized gravity fields powerful enough to tear planets apart. Their construction demonstrated engineering capabilities previously thought impossible for orcs, incorporating advanced void shields and teleportation arrays surpassing Imperial standards. The orcs' mastery of teleportation technology proved particularly devastating. Unlike crude Imperial systems requiring extensive calculations and stable conditions, Beast Tech teleporters functioned with unprecedented precision across vast distances. These devices enabled entire armies to materialize inside supposedly secure installations, bypassing traditional defensive perimeters and rendering fortress walls obsolete. Imperial forces countered with adaptive void shield configurations developed by tech priests studying captured orc technology. These modified shields incorporated oscillating frequencies designed to disrupt teleportation attempts, though the orcs quickly developed countermeasures using phase-shifted energy fields. The Beast's forces employed sophisticated biomechanical enhancement systems. Their warriors bore cybernetic augmentations that increased their already formidable physical capabilities while maintaining perfect synchronization through a psychic network. This technology enabled unprecedented coordination among orc forces, allowing them to execute complex military maneuvers previously thought impossible for their species. In space combat, the orcs deployed gravity whips, weapons that created localized distortions in space-time to tear apart enemy vessels. Imperial naval forces developed new evasive patterns in response, utilizing complex gravitational calculations to predict and avoid these attacks. The Mechanicum eventually created crude countermeasures by generating opposing gravitational fields, though these devices often proved as dangerous to friendly ships as to the enemy. The Beast's ground forces utilized advanced weaponry that combined traditional orcish brutality with sophisticated targeting systems. Their plasma weapons demonstrated unprecedented stability and range, while their artillery pieces incorporated predictive targeting algorithms that could track and eliminate moving targets with terrifying accuracy. Imperial tactical doctrine evolved through bitter experience. The Astartes developed new squad configurations emphasizing mobility and distributed firepower to counter the orcs' enhanced coordination. Chapter tactics shifted from direct confrontation to strategic strikes against command and control nodes, targeting the psychic network that enhanced orc capabilities. The Mechanicum deployed experimental quantum displacement fields to protect crucial installations. These devices created localized reality bubbles where physics behaved unpredictably, disrupting both Orc targeting systems and their gravity-based weapons. However, the technology proved highly unstable and was abandoned after several catastrophic failures. Beast Tech fortifications incorporated living metal components that could self-repair and adapt to damage. These structures featured intelligent defense systems that learned from each engagement, forcing Imperial forces to constantly modify their assault strategies. The Imperium countered by developing specialized siege weapons incorporating disruptive energy fields that prevented the metal from regenerating. The Orcs' mastery of gravity manipulation extended to personal equipment. Their elite warriors utilized gravity manipulation devices, allowing them to instantly change direction in combat or create localized gravity wells to trap enemies. Imperial forces adapted by developing grav-locked armor systems and training in zero-gravity combat techniques. Mechanicum analysis revealed the beast's forces utilized sophisticated energy management systems that drew power directly from the WAC field generated by their armies. This technology enabled their weapons and vehicles to operate indefinitely without conventional power sources, though effectiveness decreased when isolated from larger Orc formations. The Imperium's assassination teams developed specialized equipment for targeting Prime Orcs, including phase-shifted weapons designed to bypass their enhanced defensive systems. These tools incorporated technology recovered from ancient Dark Age vaults, though their use required extensive modifications to the assassin's own biology. Both sides employed psychological warfare tactics. The beast's forces broadcast threats in perfect Gothic, while Imperial forces utilized sonic weaponry designed to disrupt the psychic harmonics that enhanced Orc cognitive functions. These audio weapons proved particularly effective in reducing advanced Orc forces to more manageable feral states. The conflict saw the development of new stealth technologies on both sides. Imperial forces created advanced cloaking systems based on light-bending crystals, while Orc commandos employed sophisticated disruption fields that could fool even advanced Auspex arrays. This technological arms race led to significant advances in detection and concealment systems that would influence military development for millennia. Courland, the last son of Dorn, emerged as perhaps the most pivotal figure of the entire conflict. As the sole survivor of the Imperial Fist's devastating defeat at Ardamua, he bore the weight of his chapter's legacy while coordinating the largest space marine coalition since the Great Crusade. His strategic genius manifested in the adaptation of traditional Astartes doctrine to counter the beast's unprecedented threats. His final sacrifice during the assault on Ulanor inspired changes in chapter command structures that persist to modern times. Magos Dominus Elixni revolutionized Imperial understanding of Orc technology through her groundbreaking analysis of captured beast tech artifacts. Her controversial decision to integrate certain Orcoid engineering principles into Imperial technology sparked fierce debate within the Mechanicum, but ultimately led to crucial breakthroughs in gravitational warfare. Her later disappearance, along with her research, remains one of the war's enduring mysteries. Sister Thane of the Sisters of Silence distinguished herself by discovering the psychic vulnerabilities in the beast's network. Her Null Maiden forces proved instrumental in disrupting the sophisticated Orc technology that relied on Wag energy. Her tactical innovations in deploying Null Maiden strike teams against Orc psychic nodes established new protocols for combating psychically enhanced Xenos threats. Captain Maximus Volk of the Iron Knights earned immortal fame through his last stand at Fortress Phalanx. Leading a mere 100 Astartes, he held off an entire Orc assault force for 3 days, allowing crucial defensive systems to be restored. His innovative use of gravitational defense systems against the Orc's own technology resulted in tactics still studied in chapter training protocols. Inquisitor Veritas distinguished himself not through martial prowess, but through crucial intelligence gathering. His network of informants first identified the pattern of sophisticated Orc activity, though his warnings went unheeded. His later psychological analysis of captured Orc leaders provided vital insights into the beast's distributed consciousness, enabling more effective targeting of command structures. Tech Priest Artificer Helsing gained recognition for developing countermeasures against Orc teleportation technology. His modified Void Shield configurations saved countless Imperial installations from internal assault. Though he perished during the defense of Mars, his technical manuscripts formed the foundation for modern anti-teleportation defenses. Lord Admiral Lansung, though ultimately revealed as incompetent in overall strategy, achieved one shining moment of glory during the Void Battle of Goro. His unconventional tactic of using solar winds to disrupt Orc targeting systems saved half his fleet and established new protocols for void warfare against technologically superior enemies. Assassin operative Estulan of the Calidus Temple performed perhaps the most crucial infiltration of the war. Disguised as an Orc mech boy, she penetrated the beast's primary fortress and transmitted vital structural data that enabled the final assault's success. Her unprecedented ability to mimic Orcoid behavior revolutionized Calidus infiltration protocols for Xenos operations. Grandmaster Vengorich's role remains controversial. While his assassination of the High Lords during the beheading sparked political chaos, his reforms undeniably strengthened the Imperium's military response capabilities. His establishment of rapid response protocols and interorganizational communication systems laid the groundwork for modern Imperial crisis management. Magos Biologius Helix earned distinction through his analysis of enhanced Orc physiology. His research revealed how the beast's forces achieved their unprecedented sophistication, leading to more effective bioweapons and targeting protocols. His mysterious death shortly after filing his final report spawned countless conspiracy theories within the Mechanicum. Chapter Master Kuro of the Crimson Fists innovated new tactics for urban warfare against enhanced Orc forces. His integration of civilian defense forces with Astartes' strike teams preserved numerous hive cities that would have otherwise fallen. These protocols became standard doctrine for defending heavily populated worlds against Xenos incursions. The sacrifice of Vulcan proved particularly significant. His knowledge of ancient weapons technology and tactical insights from the Great Crusade provided crucial advantages. His final battle against the Beast demonstrated that even a Primarch recognized the necessity of sacrifice in the face of overwhelming threats. Chief Librarian Werner of the Imperial Fist's successors developed new psychic techniques for disrupting Orc technology. His breakthroughs in understanding the relationship between Orc psychology and their advanced machinery led to more effective strategies for degrading their capabilities. His training protocols for psychic warfare against Xenos threats remain in use by modern librarians. The true nature of the beast remains the conflict's greatest enigma. Imperial records suggest multiple Primorcs claim to be the beast, yet each displayed identical thought patterns and tactical brilliance. Some Mechanicum theorists propose the beast existed as a distributed consciousness spanning multiple bodies, while others suggest an unprecedented psychic phenomenon that allowed one entity to simultaneously exist in different physical forms. The sudden technological leap of the Orc Empire defies explanation. No Imperial scholar has satisfactorily explained how the Orcs advanced from primitive technology to mastering gravitational manipulation within such a short time frame. Certain recovered documents hint at the possibility of the beast's forces discovering and reverse engineering ancient technology, perhaps dating back to the War in Heaven, though these claims remain unverified. The disappearance of Ulanor itself presents another baffling mystery. The planet's transportation across vast distances of space demonstrated technological capabilities far beyond current Imperial understanding. More disturbing still, surveys of the original Ulanor system revealed trace elements suggesting the planet wasn't moved. It was copied, raising disturbing questions about the true extent of Orc technological capabilities. Several Imperial strike teams vanished without trace during missions to infiltrate Orc-held territories. Years later, Garbled Vox transmissions matching their recognition codes emerged from unexplored regions of space. These transmissions contained fragments of tactical data, suggesting some teams discovered something so significant they chose voluntary exile rather than risk the information falling into the wrong hands. The fate of Magos Biologist Helix's final research remains unknown. His extensive studies of enhanced orc physiology vanished along with his body, though periodic reports surface of similar research being conducted in remote mechanicum facilities. Some suspect his discoveries revealed uncomfortable truths about the relationship between orc evolution and human technological development. Strange anomalies continue to appear in regions where attack moons formerly operated. Gravitational sensors detect periodic fluctuations matching the signature of beast tech devices, yet physical investigations reveal nothing. Some theorists propose these locations represent scars in space-time caused by the orcs' manipulation of fundamental forces, while others suggest dormant technology waiting to be reactivated. The presence of perfectly preserved Imperial Fist's gene seed within certain beast strongholds raises disturbing questions. Analysis suggested the samples predated the war by centuries, implying the orcs had been collecting and studying Astartes' genetic material long before their emergence. The purpose behind this collection remains unknown, as does the current location of these samples. Investigations into the beast's command structure revealed evidence of a sophisticated bureaucracy managing their empire, including detailed record-keeping systems written in perfect High Gothic. This level of organization suggests either incredible evolutionary advancement or, more disturbingly, possible human collaboration. Several High Lords of Terra were investigated for potential collusion, though all records of these investigations mysteriously vanished after the beheading. The discovery of hybrid technology incorporating both orc and human design elements within certain beast fortresses remains unexplained. These devices demonstrated characteristics impossible for either species to achieve independently, suggesting unknown factors in their development. Some recovered artifacts appear to predate the war significantly, hinting at a longer preparation period than initially believed. Reports from survived refugees describe encounters with entities neither fully orc nor entirely mechanical, suggesting experiments in biomechanical fusion beyond even Dark Age capabilities. The Mechanicum maintains sealed vaults containing recovered specimens, though all attempts to study them have been classified at the highest levels. The sudden deactivation of all advanced orc technology following the beast's defeat poses another mystery. While Imperial forces claimed victory through strategic brilliance, some scholars suggest the technology simply chose to stop working, raising questions about its true nature and control mechanisms. Attempts to reactivate recovered devices have universally failed, as if the knowledge of their operation died with the beast. A disturbing pattern emerged in subsequent centuries where worlds touched by the beast's forces experienced accelerated orc evolution in native populations. These localized advancements never reached the sophistication seen during the war, but demonstrated similar developmental trajectories, suggesting some lingering influence or hidden catalyst continuing to affect orc biology. The final mystery centers on the occasional discovery of inactive Beast-era devices in unexpected locations across the galaxy, far from any known theater of war. These findings suggest either a vastly larger sphere of orc influence than previously documented, or the existence of hidden supply lines and backup facilities that remained undetected during the conflict. The purpose of these installations, and whether they pose a dormant threat, remains unknown. The War of the Beast stands as more than a mere conflict in Imperial records. It represents a haunting reminder of humanity's vulnerability in a hostile universe. This cataclysmic event fundamentally altered how the Imperium perceives its enemies, particularly the orcs, transforming them from simple barbarians into a species capable of threatening humanity's very existence. The most profound legacy lies not in the billions dead or the worlds lost, but in the psychological impact on Imperial doctrine. The revelation that orcs could evolve beyond their primitive nature introduced a terrifying new dimension to the Xenos threat. Each Orc uprising since has been scrutinized for signs of advancement, with Imperial commanders haunted by the possibility of another beast emerging from the stars. The war's influence extends into modern times through countless subtle ways. Every Space Marine chapter maintains contingency plans for facing technologically superior Orc forces. The Mechanicum continues studying recovered Beast-era artifacts, seeking both understanding and prevention of similar technological leaps. Inquisitorial agents vigilantly monitor Orc populations for signs of unusual development. Yet perhaps the war's most chilling legacy is the question it raises about humanity's future. If the Orcs, long dismissed as mere savages, could achieve such devastating advancement, what other threats might lurk in the galaxy's shadows? This uncertainty has bred a deeper paranoia within Imperial institutions, fostering an even more militant approach to Xenos containment. The changes wrought by the beast echo through millennia, in fortified worlds bristling with early warning systems, in modified combat doctrines, and in the whispered fears of those who remember that for a brief, terrifying moment, humanity faced extinction not from chaos or internal strife, but from an enemy they had fatally underestimated. As the Imperium faces new threats in the 41st millennium, the lessons of the beast remain painfully relevant. The war serves as an eternal warning that no enemy can be taken lightly, and that humanity's greatest threat may come not from known adversaries, but from those believed safely understood and contained.